Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for being here. This is the committee hearing for Governmental Affairs, and we're going to be hearing on House Bill 17 and House Bill 193. And at our first organizational meeting, I failed to recognize our committee staffer and analyst, Molly Aziz. So thank you, Molly, and appreciate all you do to support me and the committee. And our legislative counsel, Stuart Morelli. Thank you, Stuart. Yep. All right, Chairman Powell, you have House Bill 17, and please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and ladies of the committee. This was pretty well vetted yesterday in the subcommittee with a few changes. But even more, it was vetted pretty thoroughly last year. In the aftermath of the 2020 elections and the 2018 elections, it became obvious to members of the General Assembly that there needed to be some major changes in the process. One, it, quite frankly, was about creating better confidence. 2018 elections, you had one political party that was calling foul. Into 2020, you had the other party calling foul. And a lot of us recognize the fact that one of the problems was that we do have two Georgias, two distinct Georgias, the Metro and the rest of Georgia. And because of that, because of the population differences and such as that, elections are handled differently. So we recognized at that point in the Special Elections Committee that there needed to be uniformity. And I talked about this time and time again I was blue in the face, but it's about uniformity. Because of the nature of some of the events of elections, that every county should know exactly how to perform so that we're reinstilling confidence in the public. And what we did in House Bill, the genesis of House Bill 17, came from a citizen, not a politician, not anybody but other than a citizen, that in the process of looking at the election reform that was done a couple of years ago. This lady was a nurse, I'm not even sure what kind of nurse, but she was involved in doing the forensics and criminal type stuff. And she came up with an idea that what we needed more than anything is that we needed a chain of custody that would clarify some of the issues that were being raised, especially after the 2020 election. You may remember some of the things that was said about ballot boxes full of ballots was different people had stuffed them and who knew who had their hands and all that. I don't know what was true and what was false in that, but we're moving forward with it, and this is what the genesis of this bill. This lady made the recommendation to it, and we followed through, and it was actually passed fairly well without any dissent. Went over to the Senate, and then, of course, like a lot of things that languished in the last night of the Senate, it languished and didn't get to the floor over there. Generally, what this bill does in just general terms, it creates a chain of custody along the process. First section, you'll see it deals with absentee ballots that are cast in the drop boxes and being picked up from the drop boxes to be taken inside. Chain of custody. Whoever's doing the picking up, the two people or whoever, then they sign a chain of custody, not unlike that will be devised by the Secretary of State's office, that form. But it would be a chain of custody. Who picked it up, who witnessed it, what was the time and the date. And these go on these lock boxes, so it takes any idea that somebody has been stuffing boxes or anything else, takes it out of the mix. So it starts with the absentee boxes, and there was a change that was made to satisfy some folks yesterday, and I'll go over that in a minute. Second part is where absentees are returned after the polls closed. You know, the mail comes late, and those absentees come in. So there's another set of ballots that require this chain of custody, being in lock boxes and with chains and seals or whatever, and that paper chain of custody. The opening of the absentee envelopes, and you know that's done on the day prior to the elections. So once these envelopes are opened, the outer envelope, then they're placed in a box, and there would be a chain of custody on those. Then you have the challenge ballots, whole separate set. You have the provisional ballots, another set, and then the election day ballots. So in each part of the process on this, ladies and gentlemen, that there would be a required chain of custody. Is it perfect? Probably not, but is it better than what's there? Yes, and because at the end of the day, what it will do, it will create a certain level of trust and confidence in the system. We saw the elections this last year. As far as I know, I heard very little problems, and this was the outcome of the Senate bill that we'd passed earlier that did a revision. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what it does, and I would certainly appreciate your consideration for this vote.
Thank you, Chairman Powell. We heard public comment yesterday, and so at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
All right, I heard a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye. Oh, I'm sorry, any discussion? Excuse me. Any discussion? We have a couple of people with questions or comments. Representative Olalehi.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Chairman Powell. I don't think I can speak for myself. We all want what you've described, and we had a really good conversation yesterday about the chain of custody, and I did want to put out for comment 2020 being an aberration, COVID-19. It was a very unusual cycle, and you just stated yourself that we ran into very few, if any, systemic problems or issues. And the big concern that I have is the administrative burden that it's going to place on counties to adopt an additional layer of administrative steps to an existing chain of custody that they already follow. And without this committee having a sense or read on the financial cost, the staffing and resource upgrades that would be necessary to follow through with fidelity to the letter of the law that this bill presents, it's really difficult for us to move forward without having an account on the extent of the cost that will be borne by counties small and large. And I think the beauty of our state is being able to give some discretion, understanding the uniqueness of each county across our great state. So I just wanted to put that out for comment. Again, appreciate you wanting to push for better. I just want us to also consider what comes with that when we already have a system that for all intents and purposes is pretty good. Thank you, Chair.
If I may answer that, and I certainly do. Thank you, and I appreciate your concern. You know, I continue to listen to all the talk about the extraordinary cost of this. Well, I would submit to you that these ballots are supposed to be kept in a secure box anyway. So we're talking about a chain of custody, which means these boxes that have a lock. That means a piece of paper. I don't know what a piece of paper costs. But I know that if there's a form that's prescribed on this piece of paper, it certainly can't be much. Probably cheaper than toilet paper in this day and time. And when that piece of paper is applied to that box, then all the staff and the elections workers that are working, all they have to do is be trained that at every step of the way you sign it. I don't see an exorbitant cost to that.
All right, Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since our meeting yesterday, we've had some suggestions come forward from one of our fellow representatives, Representative Draper. And Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion for amendment to merge LC 471991 and LC 472007, that's LC 472007, into LC 2158S. And if we may, I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that we allow Representative Draper to answer any questions regarding these proposed amendments if she's still in the room.
Representative Draper, could you come up to the microphone and explain the amendment?
And Mr. Chairman, that is in the form of a motion.
Hold on just a minute. Let me turn your mic on. Okay, just a second. So we have a motion to entertain these amendments. Do we have a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Representative Draper, if you'll explain the amendment.
Yes, I will. So thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. So the amendments that I am suggesting are part of the election code and are very narrow issues that are meant to deal with problems that we have seen, and I think these are very simple and elegant solutions by which we can address them. So the first issue that we have seen is with notice with respect to logic and accuracy testing. So before any election, the machines that are used to count the ballots need to be calibrated, and that is done in public. So notice has to be given to the public that that is going to occur, where it's going to occur, when it's going to occur, so the public can come and see if they want to. In other portions of the election code, when we do any kind of notice, the notice requirement is met by either posting on a elections website or entering the information into the legal organ, the local newspaper. In this section, in the code that we currently have, however, logic and accuracy testing, the notice requirement is only fulfilled by publishing in the legal organ. And what we have seen is that in many small counties in particular, where circulation may only be once every week, if you miss that deadline, you might push off your notice and accuracy testing for several weeks, and it really delays the entire election process. So the amendment is simply to say the notice requirement is fulfilled if the notice and accuracy testing is posted in the legal organ or posted on the county election website. And again, that's something that we see for notice requirements in other sections of the election code. The second issue that I hope to resolve today is with respect to advance voting, voting by mail during the advance voting period. So once you get to the advance voting period, you're very close to the election. If anybody is applying to vote by mail during the advanced voting period, county elections offices are supposed to send them an absentee ballot within 3 days. And the language that is currently used for that is issue or mail an absentee ballot. And so what we have seen counties do is, instead of mailing ballots within 3 days, they will issue the ballot in their internal system, but actually not mail it for a couple more days. And that delays the issuance of these absentee ballots. It makes it less reliable. People don't know when to expect the absentee ballots. And of course, if you don't get your absentee ballot in time, your vote doesn't count. So that clarifies that process so that the intent of the law is square with what we're saying in the law.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
And Chairman Powell, I'd like to give you a chance to speak to these recommended changes. And
I haven't read them, but I was sitting there trying to visualize as she was talking, and I don't think I see any problems with that. I would defer that to my good friend Chairman Leverett. He's the chairing of the elections department, and I would ask him for his sharp legal opinion.
all right, Chairman Leverett.
Thank you, Chairman Hood, and thank you, Chairman Powell, for your gracious endorsement there. I appreciate that. To me, it seems like the First Amendment is mainly just making the notice provisions consistent with other notice provisions that are in the election code already. So that's kind of just cleanup. And in my view, it does not do anything to diminish sort of the ballot integrity provisions, but they are it amends a code section that's right in the midst of some of the sections that Chairman Powell's bill is amending. And then the second one is simply, I think, just clarifying what I would assume we will all have felt like is that if you've got to issue the ballot within 3 days, you're supposed to get it back to the hands of the voter so they can do something with it in a timely fashion. So they seem to me to be consistent with the spirit of Chairman Powell's bill. And it doesn't seem to me these would add any great expense or difficulty of administration. It actually gives additional options on the first one. So
All right.
I feel like they're appropriate.
Okay, we'll appreciate that.
And I would certainly echo his words that the way he so aptly described it would make this a very good bipartisan bill, and hopefully would give a reason that everybody would vote and hold their hands up and sing Kumbaya.
There you go. We'll see if that will happen in just a minute. Is there any other discussion? All right, Representative Bernal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was on the election committee last year, and I know we had a lot of discussion about the lock box. Is there, did you come up with a specific type of box? Because at first it was just any box, and they would just put a lock on it. So did we?
Left up to the Secretary of State's office to define that and the chain of custody form.
Okay, so would they? So they will purchase the boxes for the counties, or
I
the
doubt
counties
that.
will purchase
I
them?
doubt it. They'll prescribe the rules and the regs that circulate to them.
Okay, so then once again, this is an unfunded mandate for the counties?
It warms my heart to hear you speak of unfunded mandates. But you know, elections have always been the traditional duty of local jurisdictions.
I understand that, but it just seems that since SB 202, we keep adding more and more on the local jurisdictions, but we haven't given them any money. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, but I would submit to you, this is about trust. Trust across all partisan lines about a fair and a good system of elections.
All right, Representative Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Chair Leverett that these two amendments being offered by Representative Draper are good, small changes that would reflect our original intent. And as we've moved through in a lot of different legal notices, we have included social media or other electronic notices. My question, Mr. Chair, is our posture. I have in front of me, I might not be following all this well enough, but I have 472158S, and I have 471991. Mr. Anderson said he was combining 17 with these proposals of amendments, but that doesn't look like the document I have in front of me, and that's where I'm confused, and I may be just missing it. What's our procedural posture here in relation to LC number?
Representative Anderson's going to clarify the LC numbers.
I'll restate the motion I made and see if that answers the question. The motion I made was to merge LC 471991 and 472007 into LC 472158S.
So the two LC numbers that set forth Ms. Draper's amendments are to be merged into into Mr. Powell's bill number
17.
17.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And if we do that, if we merge them into House Bill 17, we will vote on the amendments, but thereafter we'll vote on the bill as amended.
Correct.
Thank you.
That's
That
correct.
helps me.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to take one more question. Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am in strong favor of the amendments. I think they are exactly a great clarification of what was intended with this bill. I still have issues with the ultimate bill because we heard so many comments from election supervisors last time, and the things that they expressed concern over, the fact that there's already these chain of custody. They're already doing these things. This bill hasn't really changed any of that. And I just feel like we're trying to fix something that doesn't need a fix, and so I'm ultimately not going to be able
I
to.
might reiterate that last year we met with a lot of the election supervisors. A lot of the language was changed to pacify them, such as the paper, the security paper, as it was sent from the wherever to the locals. That was cleaned up, which seemed to pacify most of them. Most of all the elections committees that met with us were concerned about the minuscule part of having count sheafs of paper from non-voted ballots, and that was taken care of. The rest of it, and I go back to tell you again that what we're trying to do is to clean up a system and to codify a system so that every county, whether it's Fulton or Franklin, DeKalb or Hart, whatever county you may be from, that these elections are run absolutely in a uniform pattern so that there's no more questions, there's no more suspicion that something is being done by the book. And that's quite frankly what it does. And it's all right to blink, blink, nod, nod if you wish, but every little bit of part that could help give credence to our elections is what's needed right now.
And I do thank you for the bill and for your effort to just build even more confidence
Thank you.
in the elections and eliminate any potential for fraud to occur. Okay, so we've had discussion on the Anderson Amendment, and we'll now call for a vote.
Yeah, we got a second.
Yeah, we do have a second. Representative Oliver, this will be the last question.
I would like to make a substitute motion. Would you
What?
like me to state my substitute motion?
Go ahead.
I move that we accept LC 1991 and LC 2158S and proceed with that under the number of House Bill 17, eliminating the substance of House Bill 17 as a result.
All right, so we have a motion and a second, if I understood, basically to take the Anderson Amendment but eliminate the original House Bill 17.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I object.
And so the author of House Bill 17 objects.
And I also, Mr. Chairman, I also object because in a feeling of bipartisanship, I'm not too sure that won't put the representative's language in jeopardy at some times during the course of this process.
It might.
All right. So let me clarify something. Moving forward, we want to reserve amendments to happen in the subcommittee and public comment and most of the discussion. I wasn't abundantly clear when we organized the committee at the first meeting that that's what we would do. So that's why I'm entertaining this amendment in the general committee today. But moving forward, that's where we're going to do entertain amendments like this. So we do only have this room for an hour, so we need to go ahead and get this bill done. So we need to vote on the Oliver Amendment. We have a motion and a second on the Oliver Amendment. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed say no. No.
Nay.
Yep. All right, we're going to do a hand vote on that. Would the noes raise your hand? All right, would the yeses raise your hand? All right, that fails.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to go for a vote on the Anderson Amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? No. All right, it passes. And now we will take a vote on the House Bill 17 as amended by the Anderson Amendment. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And all opposed?
No.
All right, the ayes have it, the bill passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the committee.
All right, we're going to move right into the next bill, House Bill 193 by Representative Anderson. All right, Chairman Anderson, present your bill, House Bill 193.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I bring before the committee today House Bill 193. As I said yesterday at subcommittee, this is the that elusive, simple bill. We've done one thing and we've done it twice in code, and that is change a number. In the year 2000, the Public Works Construction Law was created in this body, and at that time there was a purchase limit set for local governments that they could make public works improvements and purchases up to a level of $100,000 without having to go out for bid. Since that time, due to inflationary measures, particularly in the construction costs and that sort of thing, costs have gotten to a point where it's almost impossible to do much of any type of public works projects for that in that price range without having to go out to bid. So what this came about last year when we were looking at another bill, and it became obvious that the current limits set forth by the legislation made it very prohibitive for county and city governments to make timely repairs and do timely projects under this code. So we are proposing today to raise $100,000 to $250,000. That has support from ACCG, it has support from GMA, it also has support from the Association of General Contractors, and again was the result of numerous discussions we had last year, and that's basically all the bill does. If you look at the bill itself, in line 13, we strike through $100,000, replace it with $250,000, and then again in line 48, we do exactly the same thing. And I would appreciate your favorable consideration.
All right, are there any questions for the sponsor of this bill? Looks like we... Okay. Just a comment? All right, Representative Thomas.
Representative Anderson, I want to tell you I appreciate you bringing this bill. As somebody that regularly provides cost estimates and has done it over 20 years, you're absolutely right. This has ballooned quite a bit, especially in the last 5-year period. So I think this was spot on, and I appreciate you bringing it. That's all.
Thank you.
All right. Doesn't look like there's any more questions. Does anyone want to make a motion? All right. We have a motion. Any second? Second. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, the bill passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a standing subcommittee time for every Tuesday, starting at 1, and this general committee will meet on Wednesdays at 3. If you have a bill assigned to this committee that you'd like to be heard, please fill out a bill request form for that, and you do have a copy of the updated committee rules. So if you have any questions, let me know, and thank you, and have a good